Last week we cleaned up this beautifully dirty Xbox One shared with us here at Team Tronics Fix by Scott. Today we want to give this controller that came with it the same treatment. I want to make this controller look good, but we have a problem that I'm not going to be able to easily get around. So clean I can take care of, but there are some scratches pretty deep inside of this faceplate that no amount of cleaning is going to take care of. We also have some of the chrome that has worn off of the home button here, as well as some pretty deep scratches on these triggers that you can see. So I think I'm gonna have to keep the faceplate, but I might look for replacements for these triggers, as well as at least the home button. Somebody has been inside of here before. This sticker can either be removed or punctured to access the screw there. Using my spudger here, got to use quite a bit of pressure to get under here. I'm not too worried about breaking the plastic clips. They are pretty strong on this. Just work my way around. And eventually it pops off. There we go. That one came a lot less violently. Just kind of being careful here. There are no cables or anything attached to this back case, but I still don't want to just rip it off. There we go. And we have a look inside. So a loose piece of tape here. And get these battery contacts out of the way. There we go. And we can remove the plate. These also will just pull off to get out of our way. So I'm gonna have to do some soldering and desoldering if I want to work on this further. You could just leave these on and clean from this point, just kind of around if you don't want to solder, don't have soldering equipment, don't want to take that step. But this is basically as far as you would get without needing to remove those wires to be able to access the motherboard. So I'm going to be completely upfront here and let you guys know this is the second time I have ever soldered anything in my life, and the first time was about 20 minutes ago when I had Steve show me how. So what apparently I'm supposed to do is put this flux on here and then just touch down the elbow part of my soldering thing in order to kind of reliquefy that solder so that I can remove the wire. There we go. I am absolutely sure someone with a little bit more experience could do a way better job than I am doing, but I don't think I'm damaging anything and I'm getting it done. And hey, I literally just learned to solder today. There we go. Those are ready to set aside. I'm going to use my IPA here to clean up this flux that I used, just because I'm going to continue to handle this and it's a little sticky. Okay, I'm just pulling there where there's a connection that kind of plugs straight down into the other board. And we have this top board removed. This just floats freely in there, it's supposed to. This shoulder mechanism is a little tricky to get off and even trickier to get back on. This button kind of freely floats inside of there. As soon as I pull this off, it just fell out. It's not my favorite. So I'm noticing that some of these screws weren't all the way in. So not only was somebody inside of here, but it wasn't put back together completely tight. I'm not sure if there's a reason why, or if that was just an oversight. All right, we have our main board here. And these little white pieces fell out of something. I'll have to figure out where to put them back. The easy way to get the buttons. Just releasing that part of the metal clip, that'll come up. And then our D-pad. And I'm noticing there's a little bit of grease right there in the center. I'll want to replace that. Okay, so here's the actual buttons that we're going to want to replace. We got them both. I'm going to set this tape aside to reuse it and then just work these wires around. I'm showing this entire process so that I have my own footage to look back at when I want to put it back together. Can follow the path. There we go. The reason I've been using this dye-free laundry detergent to this point is because I originally purchased it in order to clean these Apple Pro Max headphone ear cuffs. But I was just looking at this Dawn dish detergent and it says 50% less scrubbing. And I'm thinking, I can't afford not to use that. Let's give it a try. There is a lot of pet hair, I'm assuming, stuck around these sticks, which is a common issue. It's just a place easy on the controller for debris and stuff to kind of get stuck down inside. So we're just going to try to remove as much as we can here. There, you can kind of show it. Some of it at least. I want to use BW100 now to spray inside of here. This is a contact cleaner that is safe on these electronics. It's super fast evaporating. Just spray it in, wiggle this around, move it around good. I'm going to give each of these a couple goes. There we go. Now I'm just going to try to get my Q-tip down in here and just try to pick up any other loose hairs that are hanging out there. This seam along the edge of this controller is one of the main places that stuff will build up. If you just think about it, when you're holding it in your hands, that's kind of a crack where the grime is just going to want to catch and settle. That doesn't get wiped off that easily. So one of the main places that I'm cleaning with this toothbrush is along the seams where the plastic parts connect. These D-pads is another place right here in these cracks. Now I'm trying to keep the top of these triggers out of the water. I didn't soak this piece on purpose because I didn't want the metal that's part of this mechanism to get in the water. All right, so we're looking for replacement parts. And I remember seeing a box up here full of just a bunch of broken controllers. I don't think Steve will mind if I pull something out of here. All right. Okay, that's the wrong model. Another wrong model. And we got some PlayStation controllers in here as well. Hey, I see one conveniently marked with a yellow sticker. I wonder if that's the right model. It is. The triggers look good. The home button looks good. The Y button looks good. Thanks, Steve. I'm gonna fish this wire back around where it goes. Hold it down with that same piece of tape that was there. There's a few more places to wiggle this wire around on this side, but we can get it held in place.
Once again, hold it down with that used piece of tape. Still sticky, still works, no reason why not. Okay. Here are the covers for the triggers that we pulled off that other controller. We're just gonna put these on these triggers. They are nice and shiny and not as badly scratched. Okay, so I got a little bit of white lithium grease to put inside of this little divot, and that will help this D-pad float around in there nice and smooth. I'm assuming, because it had a little grease in there when I took it apart. There we go. Clip this back on. Got to make sure that D-pad is lined up the right way. It is. I'm gonna have to lift this up in order to get it to actually settle in. Those buttons kind of stick up. There we go. We can put this board on, lock it down, and our buttons are there now. There we go, and all the screws went in all the way. That's good news. So here's where these white pieces go. A little support for those brackets. Gotta set this in there, not forget about it before we put the shoulder mechanism on. Lining this up and trying to get it all in there while keeping that little button in the right spot is not easy. So I struggled with this for quite a while, embarrassingly long. I'd say at least half an hour before I finally gave up and did the one thing I absolutely hate doing at this job, which is asking Steve for help. So Steve helped me line this up and get it there, but he admitted that he thinks something was a little off, that there may have been part of the bracket that was holding that was damaged, making it a little more difficult than normal. I want to make sure this board is lined up. It is. It's all flush. All right, here's the part I'm most nervous about. Resoldering these wires back on. Just get the elbow of this iron on there and hold that wire in place enough, and then check it by pulling a little bit, and it is stuck. One more. Nope, I didn't get that. Hold it. All right. Now I know that could look better, but it's on there, it's connected. We'll get these ones at least on camera for you. Here's another one. All right, that one's secure. And, let's see here. Yeah, again, boy, they could look better, but I'm happy for my first day soldering. Can put these thumbsticks back down on here. Our faceplate. Boy, the scratches are there, but it looks good. Reattach our battery contact. Got to line up quite a few things in order to get this back on here straight, and we got it. Once we put the screws in, it'll hold. The main thing is to make sure that those wires that we soldered on are out of the way and don't get pinched when we put the back cover on by the edges. Line up these clips, and there we go. So we can still see the scratches in the surface. There's nothing I could do about that, but it doesn't look that bad. Like, I'm happy with it. These triggers look a lot better. Even though the shoulders are a little bit scratched, they aren't as bad as those triggers were. I replaced that Y button. The home button looks good. And you can see the marks, but it's a little bit chewed up. But it still looks good, and I'd use it.
All right, we got it all clean. It's not perfect, but I'm happy with how it turned out. The very definition of Restorish. Only one thing left to do, find out if it works. We will just push the Xbox button here. See if it syncs up. The light is encouraging, and the joystick engaging is encouraging. You know, one thing we didn't do with the Xbox One after we cleaned it last week was test the disk drive, which I have already done because this is about the 40th take on this video. Yay! Once we get past all the loading in stuff, we can actually try a game. How do I corner without like completely killing it? Oh. I mean, there we go. Just like real life. Honestly, the highway that I drive to work is more dangerous than that. So